From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at 7, streaming now.
Thank you for joining us on the news at 7. I'm Amanda Starantino.
And I'm Mark Mullins, and we start tonight with Chief Meteorologist Kevin Gregory after we saw a snowy weekend. Hey, Kevin.
4.2 inches, if you're wondering officially, Mark, for Indianapolis, and a lot more to the north. West Lafayette, anywhere from 6 to 9 inches around Lafayette and West Lafayette and Tippecanoe County. Howard County, over 8 inches of snow, and Frankfort, just about 7 inches of snow. We're almost done in the state with this snow. This is the very western edge of the large storm system that's now impacting the northeast U.S., but from Portland down to Winchester and Richmond, still some snow showers or flurries. Dry for the rest of us, and cold. That north wind, you can feel that. It cuts right through you. 27 in Kokomo. Bloomington's at 28. Temperatures feel like they're in the teens to around 20 degrees because of that cold wind. That's the way we start your Tuesday. Temperatures will be in the low to mid 20s through mid-morning, about 29 at noon. We'll talk about the afternoon hours and what changes dramatically later in the week.
The snowstorm hitting the East Coast has interfered with COVID-19 vaccination efforts. 7 states have had to shut down vaccine sites. Demand continues to outpace supply in many areas. Meanwhile, pharmaceutical companies are working to stay ahead of the virus as it mutates. They are ready to make changes to vaccines if extra protection is needed from new strains. And here in Indiana, another group can now sign up to get vaccinated. Hoosiers between 65 and 70 years old. That means all Hoosiers over 65, first responders, and frontline workers can make a vaccination appointment by calling 211 or by visiting ourshot.in.gov. And so far, more than 143,000 Hoosiers have received both doses of a COVID-19 vaccine. 562,000 have received their first dose. Today, the State Department of Health reported an additional 1,700 COVID cases and 16 COVID deaths. As of Sunday, about 1,600 Hoosiers were in the hospital with confirmed or likely cases of COVID. That's slightly up from the previous day, but well below the peak of hospitalizations in late November.
Well, stress from the pandemic could be taking a major toll on your oral health. A local dentist tells us she's seen about a 60% increase in patients with cracked teeth, clenching, and jaw pain. She says often when people experience stress, they clench or grind their teeth, and that can lead to major issues down the line if not treated properly. She's been prescribing more day and night guards to patients and says it's important that everyone continues to go to their regular dental exams.
A lot of times there can be things going on in your mouth that are causing problems that you can't feel yet.
To keep people safe and prevent the spread of COVID-19 in the office, Dr. Williams says they use a cold fogger like this between procedures, a medical UV light tower in exam rooms, and she says they have a hospital-grade air filtration system.
In less than 2 weeks, tax filing season begins, and while it's a later start than normal, one local tax expert says many things are the same, even with the pandemic still going on. Michael Jameson with On Target CPA says after tax law changes were made in 2018, there are no tax benefits if you worked from home. The exception, he says, is for independent contractors or those that receive a 1099. There are also benefits if you are still waiting on stimulus checks or need to claim a baby born in 2020. Jameson says the recovery rebate credit is key. For now, the tax filing date will be the same despite an extension last year.
The tax filings is going to be the same, pending further changes by the government. But for right now, it is April 15th. It's going to be the due date. Obviously, you can file an extension, which gives you an extension of time to file, but not an extension of time to pay.
As a reminder, filing begins on February 12th with the IRS. And coming up tonight on the news at 11, our Nikki Dementri is working for you and answers some of your questions about tax season.
Democrats in Congress are getting ready to move quickly on President Biden's COVID relief proposal. Today, the president met with a group of Republican lawmakers to discuss a much smaller plan, which would greatly reduce the income threshold for direct relief payments. The president's plan would give most Americans another $1,400. Tonight, our Joe St. George is getting answers if you've ever wondered exactly where all that stimulus payment money is coming from.
This is the U.S. Mint headquarters in Washington, D.C., quite literally the building in charge of printing money. But when it comes to where stimulus and unemployment money comes from, the printing press, or the U.S. Mint, actually isn't involved at all.
But in order for Congress to pass these trillion-dollar laws that eventually results in real money in your wallet, the Treasury Department has to borrow the money.
Unlike you or me, the Treasury Department can borrow as much as they want. They can borrow money from private investors, foreign entities, and other governments. Basically, the Treasury Department issues a bond or a note that is really an IOU, promising to pay back the money with a little bit of interest one day.
But the biggest buyer of these IOUs right now is an entity called the Federal Reserve. They have the power to create money.
But again, they aren't printing anything. Instead, they are simply typing a number into their computer, updating their spreadsheet, and like magic, a digital currency is borrowed by the Treasury Department. All that borrowing gives the Treasury Department the ability to issue those stimulus checks. So is there a risk to all of this? Well, there is a word that scares economists. The word is inflation. That's when there's too much money in circulation and there aren't enough goods. That's when money becomes nearly worthless, like in some third world countries where pictures like this emerge. Now, economists don't believe we're at risk for that right now, as long as all of this is managed correctly and our economy is still producing more than we are borrowing. And while all of this may sound complicated, that's how you get the stimulus check. In Washington, I'm Joe St. George.
The governor has denied clemency for a Bloomington man convicted in a 1983 rape. Mike Floyd wants out of prison and says he served nearly 40 years for a crime he says he did not commit. WRTV Investigates first told you about the Floyd case in 2018. Mike Floyd was convicted in a 1983 Lawrence County case for rape, conspiracy, and criminal confinement and sentenced to 110 years. An FBI report later showed evidence found on the victim was linked to blood type A, while Floyd has blood type O. Floyd demanded more DNA testing, but Bedford police destroyed the rape kit in 1995. We talked to him in 2018.
So let me just ask you point blank, did you rape?
No, I didn't. What happened to her is a tragedy. She did not deserve what happened to her. But I'm not responsible for that.
In 2018, the parole board considered Floyd's request as well as a 3-page letter from the prosecutor who helped put him away. Former prosecutor Don Hickman said another sample was the same blood type as Floyd, type O. The parole board made a recommendation to the governor. And then fast forward to January 26, 2021, a letter from the parole board. The governor denied clemency because of the nature of the offense, criminal history, and the best interest of society. Mike Floyd can reapply for clemency in 2023. Otherwise, he will remain in prison until 2037.
One local company is thriving and hiring during this pandemic. Still ahead here on the news at 7, we'll show you where to find jobs that are available right now.
From the stage to the small screen, up next, how one prominent Central Indiana theater is moving forward with its season as the pandemic keeps the curtain closed.
Both to and through college.
As theater lovers face another year of dark stages, a local group is working to make sure the show goes on. WRTV's Karen Riddle explains how plays produced right here in Central Indiana will arrive on your TV at home.
2020 was the year of show cancellations and restrictions, but 1 month into 2021, and the Indiana Repertory Theater is aiming to make this year unlike any other.
Unlike anything. I used to think, oh, I've got enough experience now. Not that much is going to throw me. Totally thrown top to bottom. It's been unbelievable.
After 40 years in the theater business, artistic director Janet Allen is learning a new way to put on a show during a pandemic. The actors are still on stage, but the audience is at home streaming the show on their TV. Consider it the Netflix version of live action theater.
We're asking the film crew to film a play. So it's not put together like a movie. It really is still like watching a production of a live play. That's our goal.
While the pandemic has forced us all to adapt to the changing rules and regulations, not many theaters have adapted to streaming shows as quickly as the IRT. This year, many of the nation's stages will remain dark.
And many of our peers around the country, Broadway you mentioned, there's nothing happening on Broadway. There's nothing happening in about 80% of the regional theaters in this country.
Going dark was not an option for IRT. Instead, they've opted to do virtual shows with a smaller cast as a way to keep actors and crew members working while also paying bills and maintaining their downtown theater space. $30 virtual passes will give families access to IRT's upcoming productions from the comfort of their home. Allen says after adjusting to COVID regulations, Zoom rehearsals, changing setups, and even learning about streaming rights, putting on a full production show in a pandemic isn't too far from normal.
Except that it never opens to a live audience. And while we're making it, we're, of course, 6 feet distanced, we're masked, we're doing all the sanitizing, and we're doing a lot of testing to keep everybody safe.
Cameron Riddle, WRTV.
IRT's next production is Tuesdays with Maury, which kicks off on February 8th. The streaming pass is $30 and can be purchased at irtlive.com. Kevin.
Over the weekend, we were measuring snow. As we move toward late this week, it'll be all about staring at the thermometer. The Arctic blast ahead.
Hoosiers.com.
WRTV's Hiring Hoosiers initiative serves as a link between you and employers. And we've found a company not only surviving the hardships of the pandemic, but it's thriving and now looking to expand. I discovered the company helps make a house a home.
This new construction house in this growing neighborhood in Greenfield is coming along quickly. Josh Underwood and William Kidd with Overhead Doors are moving fast, installing insulation, helping build the place from the inside out. Josh has been with the company for a little more than 2 years. In fact, this was a successful career change for him when he took a leap of faith to try something new.
Well, I actually came from a hospitality, a food and beverage background for most of my life leading up to this. Coming in, I really did not understand what I was getting my feet into.
William has nearly 3 decades of this work under his belt.
Once you know what you're doing, it's not tough. It just pretty much like any job becomes a routine. I've been here for 29 years, and I've done quite well, I would say.
One with an established career with Overhead, the other setting his sights on a lucrative future here.
Oh yeah, this is definitely something you can make into a career. A lot of the guys I work with have been here for 20 and 30 years and preach about being able to raise their kids on this, from infants all the way up, putting them through college.
Overhead Door specializes in garage doors and insulation. With roughly 150 employees serving Indianapolis and central Indiana, the business needs to add about 25 to 30 new workers in its insulation division. No experience necessary. It provides a comprehensive training program where new hires get paid to learn a trade.
You can make very good money doing this job. If you're looking for a career, this is a great opportunity for man or woman.
For job seekers, open positions and hands-on paid training is good news in itself. But this company also prides itself on helping its workers build financial stability.
Overhead Door helps families, providing an online financial planning course instructing on budgeting and saving. After completing the course, a worker who saves $1,000 will receive a $1,000 bonus from the company's CEO.
Well, I think it shows how much they actually care for their employees.
Hard work, physical labor, but perks and a comfortable living for those who commit to the task.
Give it a shot, if anything. Come in. You never know what you're going to be made of.
Well, managers with Overhead Door say the pandemic never slowed them down since home and office construction remained an essential industry and home sales continued. In fact, there's so much work to do, some projects are on hold until more workers are hired. If you'd like to learn more about the long list of benefits offered by the company and to apply, we've provided a link to Overhead Door in this story at hiringhoosiers.com. Kevin, over to you.
And Mark, you mentioned insulation in the story. That is key this weekend as our temperatures turn as cold as they've been in a couple of years. It was about measuring snow over the weekend, and we're starting to measure up a little more, just under 11 inches now for the winter season. But typically we would be at 17 inches by this time. To the north and east, where they're getting snow by the foot. New York City, Central Park, about 14 inches of snow with another 2 to 4 to come tonight. That stretches through Philadelphia as well as all the way up to Boston, the winter storm having its impact. The very, very, very western edge of the storm system has some snow flurries across the state line with Ohio. We're dry in central Indiana until Thursday. A wintry mix changes to all rain. Central and southern Indiana may have some snow continue through the day in the north, closer to the Michigan-Indiana state line. And then the cold blast will follow that. Temperatures right now in the 20s, but it feels more like the teens because of the cold north wind that will be there again tomorrow. Gusting 20 to 25 through the day. Temperatures with lots of cloud cover struggle to reach the freezing mark. There are the high temperatures predicted. A little cooler to the north and east. Temperature at Terre Haute 33. As you look at Wednesday, not much difference, but a few degrees warmer. Dry, a little more sunshine and 35. Temperatures as we get to Thursday peak in the 40s. That's why what we may have is a wintry mix first thing in the morning switches over to rain from Lafayette to Marion and Muncie south. Some snow or rain snow mix north of that. Then it's all about turning the other way. Once we get our 1/4 to 1/2 inch rainfall amounts, temperatures fall. Friday 31, Sunday only 11. We'll spend most of the day just trying to make it there. And look at these temperatures Monday morning. 0 to 5 below for the overnight low temperatures. 7-day forecast, Groundhog Day tomorrow. Don't lose sight of that. 31 for the high. Temperature on Wednesday with a mixture of clouds and sunshine, 35. We climb again Thursday, reaching 42. Then you can see temperatures will cool as we go to the weekend. And with that very cold air, snow showers around both Saturday and Sunday. Amanda.
As more pilots return to work during the pandemic, many have realized the time off might have made them rusty. That's according to an anonymous safety reporting system run by NASA. They reported more than a dozen safety mishaps attributed to pilots in the last 7 months. One example is a pilot forgetting to start a de-icing procedure before being reminded. Safety experts blame the pandemic, which forced airlines to cut back the number of daily flights. The FAA does not allow pilots to operate a commercial plane unless they have completed 3 takeoffs and 3 landings in the last 90 days. The agency changed those rules last year to give pilots more flexibility.
The CEO of Delta is praising President Biden's new transportation mask requirement. He says the executive order mandating face masks during interstate travel will help protect airline workers who have to enforce mask policy. The rule goes into effect at 11:59 tonight. Delta Airlines has banned close to 1,000 passengers for violating its mask mandate. We'll be right back here on WRTV.
Turned down before. Call us now.
Valentine's Day is around the corner, and while some embrace it, others not so much. Regardless, one Indianapolis neighborhood is making sure no one feels alone this holiday. Dawn Olson is the president of the Fletcher Place Neighborhood Association. She says after struggling to connect with neighbors during the pandemic, the board talked it over and decided on a Valentine's Day card exchange, much like a Secret Santa. The idea is simple. Head online, fill out a Google form, and you'll be matched with a Valentine's Day pen pal. Olson encourages Hoosiers to get creative and send store-bought or homemade cards.
I wanted people to feel loved. I didn't want them to be forgotten. Everybody's kind of had a hard year, and I think it'd just be nice to see, someone's handwriting, something personal in your mailbox.
Olson says at last check, 70 people have signed up, and there's still room for more. Sign-ups continue online via a Google Doc until February 3rd, and everyone is welcomed. It's okay if you don't live in the Fletcher Place neighborhood. You can find the link at WRTV.com.
And a happy birthday to Derek Thomas. He may be retired, but we still consider him a co-worker. Happy birthday to Derek. He joined me on a former weathercast quite a while ago. Explain it just so you know that we weren't having to be masked at that time. But if you also notice, our temperatures were in the 90s. That is long gone. 31 tomorrow with clouds, but dry. Guys?
Great to see Derek back on TV here again. And happy birthday, Derek. That does it for us here on WRTV News at 7. We are back with you tonight at 11 o'clock.